call every 30 minutes from children who had suicidal thoughts last year, some were as young as 10.
The number of young people using the charity has more than doubled in the last 5 years. Well, joining us now is Emily Cherry from Childline and Aaron Hearn, whose brother Liam took his own life at the age of 14. Good morning to you both. Aaron, let's talk to you. What happened to Liam?
So when Liam was 14 years old, he was just a normal teenager, and sort of late September he started to change slightly. He wasn't as happy and bubbly as he normally was, and a few weeks after I'd sat down and had a conversation with him, sadly he took his own life.
Was there any indication? You said he didn't seem as bubbly, but going from bubbly to taking your own life, that's a dramatic change.
Yeah, no, he didn't seem his own self. He was normally the sort of person that'd walk into the room and light up, or he used to always have good jokes, and and me and Liam were very, very close, and and I just noticed that he was just being a bit more quiet than usual, and a bit more like within himself, and that's when I sat down and I said, Liam, is everything okay? He texted me and asked him to pick him up from school. And and I sort of raised concerns. I was worried about sort of why he was asking me, and sort of I really did probe him, and he sort of just didn't. He said, I'm fine, and obviously I just left it, and thinking that maybe in the next few days he'd come back to me and say I'm ready to talk, and just a couple of weeks after that, it was too late to have that conversation with him.
And it's such a devastating thing to happen to a family, isn't it? So many questions left, but listening to Aaron talking there, the family, he tried to do the right thing, tried to talk, and your evidence now is that lots and lots of young people are having suicidal thoughts.
So that's what we've announced this morning. So Childline's been 30 years in operation now, and this year's the highest number of calls we've had from young people who are talking to us about suicide. I think it's really important here to really, as Aaron has talked about with Liam, this is such a hard thing for children to come to. So when they come to Childline, they are at crisis point. And the kind of pressures that children are talking to us about, and as you said in your introduction, from kind of age 10, are things like immense pressure from school and from exams to perform, particularly about mental health and the conditions and not getting support. And it's why at the NSPCC we're urgently calling on the government to make sure that they are funding more support services for children to get that support.
You had no indication that Liam was feeling so awful and so desperate. Do you think he would have called Childline, something like Childline? Do you think that could have helped? Because it's as Aaron said, they were talking. But to actually take that next step is quite a big step for a child.
It certainly is a huge step, and the courage to be able to call Childline, and it's why we need to constantly get that message out there that Childline is available 24/7 for children to call about any worry.
Aaron, what would you say to someone, given your experience now, who's worried about a sibling or a parent who's worried about a child, and they don't want to talk? Liam didn't want to talk to you about what was going on, but perhaps they could talk to someone else. What would you say?
Yeah, no, obviously, I'd say give them the Childline number. I think sometimes it's difficult to speak to those closest to you. I spent my time fundraising, and a lot of my experiences, I've met so many amazing people, and I think one of the things that really opened my eyes to how important Childline is that I've met people that have used Childline, and they've shared some of the most horrific stories that you couldn't even imagine. And they openly sit there and say, the turning point in my life was when I picked up the phone and I spoke to a Childline counsellor. And, I said it's just that impartialness, that ability just to be free and speak freely. And it's no judgment on the parent or a loved one. But sometimes, sometimes it's easier to speak to someone that is not so close. So, I'd encourage them to share the Childline number, and also the NSPCF, the adult helpline, which is fantastic because it helps guide parents as well, or guardians. But and it can't do no wrong. As the Childline counsellors, I've met them, and they're so, they care so much. And I think that's what the beautiful thing is. They give up their time, and they really, really do care, and they really, really do want to help. So a child's in good hands when they do make that phone call.
Yes, I mean, it's a really important point Aaron makes there, isn't it? The Childline service It's not judgmental. I mean, one of the fears when you first open up, you know, when you bottled something up and you want to speak to someone, the fear is that straight away you'll be judged.
Absolutely. I mean, the stigma that exists still around mental health for young people is one of the barriers to really speaking out to a trusted adult. So what Childline does so wonderfully with them is spend that time with the child, exploring how they think, how they feel, and in a non-judgmental way, but then also taking the time with them to help them make a plan. So who can they speak to get support, and how can Childline support them to do that?
Emily, thank you. And Aaron, I know it's not easy to talk about these things ever, even after a period of time, so thank you very much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you for the
Thanks.
opportunity.
A Department of Health spokesperson